Hello and welcome to a bit of a strange cup of tea with Magicowl me today. So I have just spent the last hour in the dentist chair, and so all of this side, I have no feeling whatsoever on all of this side of my chin and my face, because I've just spent the last hour in the dentist chair. So I daren't drink a cup of tea, because I would probably start dribbling it and then potentially burn myself. So in fact, I'm not even going to drink anything. And I apologise if this side of my face is doing weird things, or if I suddenly bite my tongue and blood starts dripping down my chin. Anything could happen. So apologies for that. But this was my small little window, my one opportunity to do a video going through my Lammas album, which was released today, and going through each of the songs and sharing where the inspiration comes from, and the kind of vibe behind the whole album. So if you are a subscriber to my newsletter from my website, you will have already had a rundown because the email came out at 8 o'clock this morning, English time. And so you will already probably know most of what I'm going to say. If you don't already subscribe and you would like to, just head over to magicowl.me and you can subscribe. And every Friday morning at 8 a.m, I send out a letter, behind the scenes things. Sometimes there are offers on things, all sorts of extra tidbits. And it's really just kind of a bit of me rambling and waffling, a bit like these are. So I'm hoping I've got the balance right. I've got the music playing in the background from the album. And I've also got one of these new things, which I did not know. This fluffy bit here is called a dead cat. How horrible is that? Who decided that? So I am not going to call this a dead cat. I'm going to call this little thing here Harold. So Harold and I hopefully mean that the sound is better and that I've got the balance. You should be able to hear me talking much louder than you can hear the music. But occasionally I will just stop talking so that you can listen maybe a bit to the song. So I have got the album playing, and the first track that is playing at the moment is called Among the Sunflowers. And it's just about to finish. Years and years ago, I went on holiday to the south of France, and we had this villa, and the nearest village, you had to walk along this path that was in the largest field of sunflowers I have ever seen in my entire life. Just yellow in every direction that you looked. All these amazing, massive sunflower heads. And I loved that little walk just backwards and forwards from the village to our villa through these sunflowers, and noticing that the young sunflowers will turn their heads. You sometimes hear on social media people saying how sunflowers will turn to follow the sun. Only the young ones do that. Once they've actually kind of reached full bloom, they always face east. But the young ones, to try and make the most of the sun and to kind of get the photosynthesis, and it's called, I can't pronounce it, I'll add the word up here, heliophysicism. Yeah, but it means that they follow the sun when they're young. So that was the first song. The second song that is now playing is called On We Go, and the whole album actually is quite nostalgic. It's quite looking back to either childhood memories or just freer times. And I love it when you get in a movie and you've got like the best friends in the car, and their favourite song comes on and they turn up the volume and they're singing along. You know the movie scene, like loads of movies have it. So this was the inspiration This is the inspiration behind On We Go. So it's one of those songs that you can turn it up, sing along with your friends, and it's talking about, you're leaving all your cares behind, you've got nowhere you're driving to in particular, you're just on the open road, side by side with your friend, and just seeing where the road takes you and where you end up. So that kind of real, just fun, chilled out summer vibe. Not really necessarily anything to do with Lammas or Lughnasadh, but I think the whole album ended up just being a very summer album. So it doesn't even necessarily need to be tied to the Wheel of the Year or anything particularly pagan. It's much more kind of like inclusive for anyone and for whatever your beliefs are. So hopefully that's a nice, fun song. I will let you listen to a little bit. Maybe I will even turn up the volume. Hey, that's what I could do. When I stop talking, I could turn up the volume. Hang on then, let's do this one. I will turn up the volume. Typical, it's an instrumental bit. It's not where the words are. But there we go. Okay, so the next song, I'll just put it onto the next song. So this one, I have a real romantic notion of summer. And I have a whole Pinterest board full of like alfresco dining scenes. I love it when you go on holiday and there's loads of you and you've got just the massive table and everyone just grabs whatever and you come and sit down and you're all just that kind of communal eating. I love it. And yeah, I can't really remember the last time I did it. And it's really weird. It's one of those things that I love the memories of, and I love the idea of it, but I'm not very sociable in real life, so I don't actually often have like loads of people over, and I haven't really got the kind of space or table to have like loads of people, so it's more of a kind of holiday vibe thing for me. I'm really looking forward to in October our whole family is going to Portugal for a week, and so there will be a whole load of us. And that's one of the things, apart from I am going to have my inflatable flamingo on the pool with several books. And that will be me for the entire week, every day. But in the evenings, I'm really looking forward to that. Everyone just kind of mucking in and just sitting around or going out to a restaurant, but you're still all sat out there in the warmer weather. But it won't be too warm, you see, because I am not enjoying this kind of warm weather that we're having at the moment. That is not so much fun. So no, Stay a Little Longer is a song about, you know, come along, pull up a chair. We've got food, we've got drink. There's no rush for you to leave. You know, we're all friends here. Just, you know, enjoy the evening as it folds and let it just do what it needs to do. And so there's no pressure or no rush to hurry. Now, the next song, in fact, I will talk about the next song before it actually comes on because I will turn it up because it's my favourite on the album. And I can't say favourite without spitting, I'm afraid. Sorry. It's called Roll On. And I wanted something that was very, very rhythmical and very almost mechanical and repetitive that describes the feeling of when the harvest is being collected in. You've got combine harvesters, you've got tractors. And it's just that, you know, you're going line by line up and down the field. And it's just that kind of keep on going. So I had real fun trying to make the words make the rhythm. So it was, I wanted something that was just going to be kind of constantly driving forward. So I will play this one and I will stop talking so you can listen. And I may dance. I could try and practice my face. Yeah, can't feel that at all. Hopefully not dribbling. And it's really fun to play on the fiddle as well. Maybe I should do a video of that, me playing my violin. Okay, so I'm going to keep that going, but I will turn the volume down a bit. And we will move on to the next song, because that's probably the one that I will need to explain for the longest. So it's called Harvest of Old, and I realised that because I live in a village, I've always lived in a village, a lot of my memories and perception of seasons are very much tied into what happens in a village and that rural life and that slower pace of life. And one thing that, if you say August to me, or probably August to anyone in my village, we will say Harvest Home. And I don't know if it's just around here, if it's a Somerset thing, or if it's all, I would think it's probably all rural areas will have, I can't say rural at the moment at all, but all villages, I would think, would have some kind of celebration of the harvest finishing. So all the villages around here have a harvest home, and we have it on a different day, so they don't clash or anything. And when I was young, it was my favourite day of the entire year. I loved it even more than Christmas. I looked forward to the harvest home like from the next day after one to the whole year through. And what we used to do, the minute school broke up for the summer holidays, we would go round to, my friend lived on a farm, and we would go around and we'd spend most of the first half of the summer holidays up until, it was always the third week of August. So up until then, we would spend most days in his farm, and we would decorate a tractor trailer. So if you think carnival floats, where you get sort of big lorries or tractors and you're pulling these massive big floats, it was basically the village equivalent of that. So you'd get someone with a tractor and a trailer, and we would decorate the trailer. And then on the day of the harvest home, we would all dress up, and we'd have a theme each year. And we would then go down on our tractor and trailer, we would go down to the church, and we'd all be parked up in the main kind of street in the village. We would go to the church service, which was to give thanks for the harvest, because of, essentially that was what it was. It's a village time to give thanks to the crops that they would have all gathered in by then. And we would then do a procession through the entire village, and you would either be on a float, or if you weren't, you would dress up. Sometimes there would be people dressed up on horseback or walking, and there were different prizes given out for the best costumes and all that sort of stuff. And then we'd have sort of vintage cars would join the procession, and we would go all the way through the village. And if you weren't actually involved in any of the dressing up things, you would come out of your house to stand by and clap and all that sort of stuff. And the young farmers always used to have water involved on their floats. So they would have water pistols or water balloons and things, and they would be chucking them around and everything. And it was just such a fun communal celebration, basically. And I absolutely loved it. So some of the ones that I did, I will try and put photos here of me in my various outfits. So I was the Queen Mother on her 80th birthday. So obviously that was 1980. So I would have only been 7 when I was pretending to be the Queen Mother. I was Lady Di for Prince Charles and Lady Di's wedding. I was a bride of Dracula. I was a princess when we did St. George and the Dragon. I was a football hooligan for one of the World Cups. So all sorts of things, and I absolutely loved it. And we would get to the field where there would be a big marquee and a fair, and the week running up to Harvest Home, we would watch the fair arriving, because we never knew which rides were going to come that year. And you'd watch all the lorries, and you'd try and guess, like, oh, that's the bumper cars, or that's the waltzers, or my favourite was all the ski jump that was kind of basically a loop, but when you got to the top it took off and stuff. I love that one. So that was always really exciting. And They then would have a lunch, and in fact they still do this, but we don't have the fair anymore. But there was a lunch, and you would have sort of a ploughman's salad with all the ladies of the village would serve, and all the men would carve all the meat which would have come from the local farmers. And there was cider and beer, all locally made. And our village was one of the only ones that would have wine as well. But most of the other villages only had beer and cider. And then after the lunch, that was the adults only. After the lunch, it was the kids' time. We would have like races, three-legged races and all sorts of things. You'd go on the fair a bit. Most of the dads were usually drunk at this point and would fall asleep to sleep off the beer and the cider. And then in the afternoon at about 4 o'clock, there would be an afternoon tea for the kids. And it would be sort of the typical picnic, jelly and ice cream, sandwiches and all that sort of stuff. And then in the evening, there was always a live band and a pig roast, and you would come along and more drinking would be involved and more rides on the fair and stuff. And then the next day, the kids the fair would be gone by the time we woke up. They used to pack up and head off in the middle of the night, and we would then go and scavenge underneath where all the rides had been, because people's loose change would fall out of their pockets when they were on the rides, and we'd all the kids would kind of gather them up. So anyway, that song was already played and finished. I told you it would take a long time for me to say about that one. So that one was called Harvest of Old, and it was really a look back to those really fun memories. And although we still do have the harvest home, my situation has changed so much. I don't eat meat anymore, so I'm not interested in going to the lunch where there's platters of meat out. I don't drink, so that's no kind of fun. And they don't have the fair anymore, and I don't do a pig roast. So it's not quite the same for me now. Also, I think it's a young person's game. And I kind of quite like the fact that it's just tucked away in my memories. I've got so many happy memories of it. But whenever you kind of almost try and recreate that, especially when you're older, it's never quite the same. So I'm kind of just leaving that to my memories, but it was lovely. Okay, so the song that is playing now, you probably can't actually really hear it. Oh, and what have I just pressed on the laptop? I just pressed something. Don't know what's going on there. I was trying to turn the volume up, but it's not going to scroll down. Hang on. Okay, so this song that is playing is Those Were the Days. And again, it's another nostalgic look back at how, as kids, we would leave the house in the morning, nowhere particular to go, but you would take like a little picnic or something, and you would just be out for the whole day, and you would like fall asleep by the stream, or you take your sandwich or some strawberries from Cheddar usually, and those when you were in those days at the time, we didn't think it was anything special. There was nothing, and that's just what we did in those days. But now looking back on them, it's like, oh, those are the days, and you appreciate the freedom that we had, and again, just this, how safe it was that we could literally just go out and we wouldn't be back until dinner time in the evening. And we had no mobile phones or anything like that. We just made our own entertainment, and it was just very, very relaxed. The next song is, again, kind of sticking with that vibe. It's called In the Long Grass. And I remember as a youngster, we would go into the field where the grass was sort of halfway, up to our waists and things, and we'd make like a little den in the middle of the field and just lie down in the field, and sometimes we'd fall asleep, or we'd maybe take a book and sit and read. We'd maybe have a picnic, but it was just that relaxed. There was nothing you had to do, there was nowhere you had to be. You could just enjoy being outside. We never put sun cream on. We never got burnt, and it was just nice to lie there, and we would watch the clouds drifting by. We would listen to the bees and the insects humming around us, and watch the butterflies fluttering around. So yes, it was just, again, it's that kind of romantic, nostalgic memory that to me is what summer is really about. Not this ridiculous heat that I am not coping with very well. So let me turn the volume up and you can have a listen to this one a bit more if I can work it out. Not quite asleep, just drifting somewhere deep. The field stretches on unchanged, and for a while, so am I. So it's a really nice, chilled out kind of summer vibe to have on in the background. Okay, and then we get to the last song. Now, this one, Let It Be Enough. Started off, it was originally on my Yule album. And it was where I quite often talk about how in the winter we kind of retreat into ourselves. We don't have to be as productive. We don't have to be doing as much. It's just enough to kind of just be and to allow ourselves that time to relax and rest. But actually, I was thinking about how in the summer, I would expect to then be doing the opposite. So if I'm saying in winter, we retreat inwards and we don't do much, in the summer, it should all be kind of out and we should be doing loads. But actually, no, especially in this hot weather, I've not wanted to do anything for the last few weeks. And actually, you can kind of take stock of, see what you've got around you. And now that can either be referring to the harvest and literally what you have grown, whether you've got things in the garden you've grown, or more, I was kind of thinking in the end, it turned out more what you've achieved in the year. So looking back from the last Lammas to this one, and actually just accepting where you are at that point and what you've done and what you've achieved and what you have. And instead of this constant pressure and this constant chasing to have more, to be more, to do more, to be better than everyone else, or to all that kind of materialistic bollocks, it was just, no, actually, this is me and this is where I am and this is what I have, and I'm grateful for that and I appreciate all of that, and that's enough. You don't always have to be chasing more. I think that, society, well, we know society has got a heck of a lot of problems at the moment. And I think that always having to be more. And I'm not saying I don't want to always be pushing myself. And certainly I'm one of those people who have a growth, what do they say? A growth, no, it's not attitude, mindset. That's it. A growth mindset. That I am always wanting to learn more and always kind of improve myself. Not saying that there's anything wrong with where I am at the moment, but it's still accepting that this is where you are right now. And whether you do want more in the future, that's fine. But it's just taking that time and recognition to just accept where you are. So yeah, what I've really enjoyed as I've been making these Wheel of the Year albums, and I hope you're following along with the stories and you're enjoying it too, is that I've naturally let them evolve into where they want to be, or where I feel when we get to each one, where I am emotionally, or what kind of comes up for me at that time. So when we were looking back at, so Ostara was the first one that I published, and that was very much that the world was waking up, that it was springtime, and that we had that energy of the light was returning and everything was like fresh and green and new. And then Beltane ended up, the album told a story. So it basically just went through the day of kind of Beltane or May Day, from that very first, the threshold at the morning when you open the door and you know something exciting is going to happen that day, but you're not sure where it's going to take you. And it went all the way through kind of to the evening and the next day. And then we had Litha, which was, again, more of a sort of summery vibe. We had like the sounds of summer. And so it's been really interesting. I didn't know where Lammas was going to take me, and I've been in such a grumpy mood recently with this heat. And I've had a lot of weddings where they've not given us enough shade, or we've not had enough to drink, or they've not fed us when they're supposed to feed us and things like that. And it's absolutely wiped me out. I've been so exhausted with it all. So I think that ended up being reflected in this album, that I just wanted to slow down and almost go back to those days when everything was just so carefree and so easy. So that is my Lammas album, and I hope you enjoy it. As I say, you don't even need to celebrate the Wheel of the Year. You don't even need to be pagan or a witch or anything like that. You are Magicowl, whatever your beliefs. And so, yes, let me know what you think of it. And also remember, full disclosure, it's not me singing. It's not me playing. Even though I can play all the violin parts, and I am in the process of putting together a book for each album of the violin parts, so people can play along if they play the violin. I have written all of the lyrics, so all the words are my own. All the concepts for the songs, the key signatures, the time, if you're musical, all of the speeds, the styling, all of that. I've come up with what I want the song to sound like, but it is generated by AI. So it is AI assisted music. I've never hidden the fact that I use AI, but there are some people that still, I think that I am singing on it or playing on it. It's not my voice, I'm afraid. But I have styled the voice. So the voice should still sound like the same person, because I have put in, I did sing into it and have tried to kind of, it's a better version of my singing, because if you heard my voice singing, it's not quite as good as that, I assure you. But anyway, I hope you still enjoy it. I do understand the debate that people have with AI music, and as a musician myself, I understand the arguments against it, but I also think there is definitely a place for it if used, as I said, to assist and used to rework and to tweak and to orchestrate different things. If it's done properly, then it can actually be really helpful and really fun, creative process. So I hope you enjoy it. I will put all the links if you wanted to listen to the whole album. It's available on Spotify. It'll be on iTunes and Amazon as well. Until next time, thank you very much. This has been a cup of tea without the cup of tea with Magicowl me. And happy Lammas and happy Lughnasadh, whichever one you celebrate, if you do celebrate them. Bye.